When you're out and about, do you hear music drifting your way? From the store's Muzak to your personal playlist, music is different for everyone. For me, and for you. Music reminds us of memories and feelings from our past. Sometimes it reminds us of who we were and who we are today. And sometimes it reminds us of who we're meant to be. I'm a writer, and these are my music memories. Creepin' by Eric Church. I first heard this song while watching a show called The Blacklist. It's a show starring James Spader, an actor who I've loved in everything I've ever seen of his, from Boston Legal to his movies in the 80s. He's just a joy to watch. And that's why we gave this show a shot. He plays a super criminal who helps the FBI capture other, super criminals. I mean, of course, his motivations are always suspect, but the people he captured always seem to be worse than he is, so it's okay. The show was pretty popular in my house when it first started. The episode that featured this song is in the first season. Like most Blacklist episodes, I don't remember too many of the details. That does happen a lot in the show. I mean, the story will be amazing and detailed and twisty, but for some reason, it all fades the following day. That's not to say the show was bad, just, for some weird reason, forgettable. With the general public, the show was popular too. The first season averaged about 10 million viewers per episode. But as with most things, the show seemed to run on a little too long. The viewership dwindled over the next 9 seasons. So far, it gets about 2 million views per show. That's not to say the show did anything specifically wrong. Not really. The lead female character, Elizabeth, got pregnant and had a kid, but then her husband was written out of the show very quickly. I mean, yeah, I know, there was many extenuating circumstances, but come on. If the father can't stand the kid, then really, why should I? The writers seemed to turn on their characters one at a time. When Elizabeth was killed, we were all hoping it would happen much sooner. We didn't like the character anymore. We didn't care what happened to her next. They tried to do that with James Spader's character Red, and it hasn't worked yet, but I have a feeling in the upcoming season, our attitudes may change. And it's a shame, because the original premise of the show was very, very strong. My wife and I were excited and captivated by the show. Now it just seems to be regulated to something we have on while we scroll on our phones. I suppose only time will tell if the showrunners can turn it around. There have been other incidences of songs that have appeared in the show. What I mean is songs that I hadn't heard before. The end of the first episode has the Hugo version of 99 Problems playing as the credit appeared. It was so well placed. Since then, I have learned that the show is actually from the Freaky Friday movie soundtrack. But I never watched the film, so this was the first time I'd actually ever heard it. And to be quite honest, it is my preferred version of the song. I guess I'm just not that big a fan of Jay-Z. But Creepin' came out of nowhere for me. I'm not a really big country fan. I know a few other country musicians, but they're not regularly getting played in my house. But I think it was the placement of the song that really grabbed me. I mean, granted, the song is catchy, but there's just something about how and when it was placed in the episode that stayed with me. So I did what I always do. I started to dig into the musical catalog of Eric Church. And I quickly discovered the joy of Springsteen and Before She Does. After a little while of looking into Mr. Church's music, I came to a realization. I'm pretty sure that I like his live stuff far more than his studio music. And that's extremely rare for me. Usually, I find that musicians sound far worse when they're live. Evanescence is a perfect example. There just haven't been many artists that I know that can, break that idea. Lizzie Hale, though, is one of those vocalists. When Hailstorm plays a concert, she wails just like she does in the studio. Eric and Lizzie performed together live at the 2014 Country Music Awards show, where they played That's a Damn Rock and Roll. Lizzie sang her heart out, and it was suggested that she performed better than even Eric himself. They also played a Hailstorm studio song together. Now, that's not the version of the song that appears on the rock band's album. It was just a B-side of one of their single releases. They played a weird version of I Like It Heavy. While hearing one of his concerts, I quickly came to the realization that Eric Church is definitely someone I'd like to see in concert. He seems to enjoy performing so much. He loves to engage the audience, almost all the time. His musical stylings are heavier than most other country singers, like hard rock, but with a twang. That really surprised me, as I usually lean towards the pop rock area of the musical garden. But Mr. Church helped me plant a little tree in his direction. Eric Church's music threw me down a country music rabbit hole that I didn't really expect to like. I fell hard for big artists like Kira Isabella and some Garth Brooks. But I also feel like I discovered a few smaller people as well. The American singer Kaylee Bannon grabbed my attention with Smoke When I Drink, and I was blown away by the realization that Aaron Lewis, the musician behind the songs Northern Redneck and Sinner, was the vocalist for the rock band Stained. I even found an early Taylor Swift song to enjoy. Now, before the ridiculous guessing begins, the song is Picture to Burn. I've always been more of a sprinter than a marathon runner. I can start off big, but eventually my interest wanes and I slow down. I did it with college and even my beginnings in the store. Very excited and full of ambition at the beginning, but not so much later on. I honestly think that that's part of the human condition. Everybody seems to want to put their best foot forward. Like my Nana always said, always make a good first impression because you can't do it again. I see that happening everywhere. From the new business owner who tries to be everyone's friend and lavish them with gifts and praise, to the 2-part pilot episode of a new Law & Order show. Eric Church's music seems to be like that, at least to a casual fan like me. I love his earlier stuff, but his latest albums, not so much. And it's nothing I can really explain, as the quality of music hasn't faltered. He still sings his heart out day after day. Life is like that, I think. In the beginning, you're so driven to grow up so you can enjoy staying up late and partying. As you get older, you're driven to get out from underneath your boss's thumb. You struggle to replace him, to do it better. And then you ran towards the family, the kids, and the picket fence. And now, don't fret. Life hasn't taken a bad turn down a creepy forest path or anything. You're just a little tired. There's a little less gas left in the tank. I remember being full of fire and energy when I was a young man. And now, I just want to relax and be happy. I find the things that I like to do, not the things that I'm obligated to do. I'm still responsible, but I'm just a little more okay with other people making decisions than I once was. Proof of that is the first season of Blacklist. The first season is really something special. And the Creepin' song is really amazing as well, as is most of Eric's music from around the same time. And I never really thought that a crime-based TV show like The Blacklist would throw me so far down the music rabbit hole. My listening preferences vary from day to day, week to week, whatever. So I'm not listening to country music every single day. But I'm happy to know that if I'm ever in the mood for a little twang, I have some amazing songs to get me through. Thanks for listening to another story that fell out of my head. Are you a country fan? Do you have any suggestions of songs that I need to check out or, well, not check out? And remember, I have merch. The link is in the video description. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.